Books and Booze, a bookish and wine-induced podcast from two book lovers who have never met. That is the power of the internet.
So what are you currently drinking?
So because I didn't have a chance to go to the liquor store because we brought our recording up one day earlier because we were super excited, I just poured myself a glass of Liquor 43 and Coke. So normally I wouldn't drink such a strong drink on a school night, but why not?
What the hell is...
Have you had Liquor 43?
No, what is it?
It's a Spanish liqueur, I'm pretty sure. It's from, Spain, it says on the bottle. And it is like a vanilla flavour. So when you mix it with Coca-Cola or lemonade or anything like that, it's like a vanilla Coke.
That sounds good.
It's really nice.
Okay. Well, that sounds a bit more interesting than me this episode. I'm having this red wine. It's called 19 Crimes. And it's aged for 30 days in rum barrels. And it's like really smoky. And yeah, the bottle art is just so awesome. I really like it. I'm going to be posting some pictures of it on my Instagram page.
And it's called 19 Crimes?
Yeah, 19 Crimes.
That's perfect.
I know, I love it for our little crime and wine talks. So,
very good.
So today's episode is all about reading slumps.
Yes. Are you in one right now?
I think I was, but I don't go into reading slumps very often, so it's difficult for me to say.
Yeah. Do you count a reading slump as when you just don't read, or when you pick up a book and it's bad, and then you pick up another book and it's bad, and you just start to get a bit disheartened and you're like, will I ever find another good book again?
Yeah, I feel like a reading slump is like when you want to read but you can't. So like in a way it's like your libido's low, like your bibliolibido.
Bibliolibido. That's what we should call this, the name of this podcast.
Bibliolibido.
This episode will be called Bibliolibido.
So, yeah, I feel like if I read a really boring book and it just gets me really uninterested in reading in general because I'm disappointed and I put too much pressure on the next book to be good, so I just kind of sink deeper and deeper into a slump.
Do you finish a book? If you pick it up, will you finish it?
Mostly I will. I try really hard. I think in my entire life I've only DNF'd 3 books.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I can name them all. It was Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which I know is a very unpopular opinion. Also, what's Naomi Novik's book, Uprooted, and another one, which was a thriller book called... Blah, 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 blah. I can't remember this one now. I can't remember the thriller one, but yeah, they all just didn't capture my attention, and eventually I just realised they were putting me into a slump, so I stopped them.
Yeah. I'm the same. Like, if I really don't like it and I dread picking it back up, then I'm not going to finish it.
Yeah.
And I don't... There's not very many that I will do that for, but if I have to, I have to.
Yeah, I think you can't force yourself to carry on reading, or, if you're in a slump, you can't force yourself to read either.
Yeah, well, you won't watch a show and continue to watch a show that you really don't like.
Exactly.
And the same with a movie, you'll turn it off. So it's the same with a book.
What do you think, like, some of the do's and don'ts are when you're in a reading slump?
So I jotted down quickly what I do to get out of a reading slump.
Yeah.
So I will switch up my genre. I will switch to something funny, like a celebrity biography or a collection of essays or something short and snappy that will catch my attention again. I will ask a fellow book lover who I trust for a recommendation, or I will reread an old favourite.
Okay, you're so different to me. So, like, some of my don'ts are, like, I cannot reread books. That's just me, though. It's a personal thing. I can't reread. So I'll rather try and find a new book that is really engaging and fast-paced and, like, a thriller, like a crazy page-turner. I'd rather find something like that. Like, I just feel I get scared by the fact that there's so many books in the world and I just don't have enough time to read them all. So I can't go back and reread
Yeah.
another book. Otherwise, I'm like, oh no. Um, so another thing, like I just feel how I said you shouldn't force yourself to read, because if reading becomes tedious for you, then you really need to like kind of take a step back and regroup, because reading, it's supposed to be fun. We're in this community because we love reading so much, and it's not supposed to be a chore.
Yeah, exactly right. You shouldn't force yourself to do something that you really don't want to do.
Exactly. But you said that you would try a different genre, where I would
Yes.
not. I think that it's a purely personal opinion, like I said, but I actually asked a bunch of listeners what they would do, and a heap of them said that they would try a different genre. But I feel like if I'm in a slump, going into something I'm not comfortable in, like a sci-fi or a fantasy book, is gonna make my slump worse. Whereas, like, if I try to pick up my favorite genre, which is thriller, it'll most likely help me get me out of it.
You never feel like reading too many of the same genre will just get you into that mood where you're disheartened because you're comparing it to other things?
No, but I'm a diehard thriller fan. I guess like I can try, but thriller is just what makes me so happy. So I guess I'm not trying to be closed minded, but yeah, if especially if I'm in a slump, I would rather read something in a genre that really just like gets me motivated to read, like
Yeah.
something that I
Yeah.
can't put down. Whereas like I do like some books in other genres. Like I like some historical fiction, like the Outlander series, and a few like memoirs and travel books. But if I need something that's going to really capture my attention, I need a thriller.
Well, it's the ultimate page turner, isn't it? You
Exact.
need to find out what
Yeah.
happens.
And then some things I do to get me out of a reading slump is like reorganize my bookshelf. Do you ever do that?
No, but I've only got really teeny tiny bookshelf and I can't fit much else in there, so
Oh.
it's kind of like Tetris at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I've got one little bookshelf, and the rest of my books are kind of staking their claim on the floor until I go to IKEA and buy another bookshelf. But um, yeah, reorganizing them, because I've got so many bloody books. It's like going to the bookstore for me, because I'll find so many books I forgot that I had, and then I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yay! And then yeah, I can just kind of reevaluate my TBR pile and what I want to prioritize. And then I also love going onto like Bookstagram and BookTube and Goodreads and just like scouring the internet, because the more that I watch and look at other people like that are enjoying books, the more that I'm going to want to get excited and enjoy books with them.
Yeah, I do that too, especially if I see a cover that I love and I just screenshot it. My phone is full of screenshots of covers of books, and then I'll go through and add them to my Goodreads.
Yeah, definitely. It's such a good way to just communicate with the community and just find books that you might not have known about. And you never know if one of them is going to be the book that just picks you right up out of your slump.
Yeah.
I also love to. So there's do you know BookTube? It's like the YouTube form. So it's called
Yeah.
BookTube. So like YouTubers that review books and play with books on camera.
Yeah, I have I used to watch a lot more. At the moment, like, because I've got the kids, it's more quiet media that I will watch, and then I listen to podcasts in the car.
Yeah.
So I don't watch a lot of BookTube anymore, but I did used to watch there's a Australian booktuber, I think her name is Little Book Owl.
Yeah, she's got like Albany hair, doesn't she?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I used to watch her videos, and I really enjoyed her videos.
Okay. Yeah.
And I have watched a few of yours.
Thank you.
I watched the one with Mark. I think it's really cute.
I just recorded another one, so there'll be one coming up. I shout out our podcast on it. So
Oh,
yes.
nice.
But so there's like there's lots of tag videos on BookTube where you you can play with books and do whatever you want to do with them and like ask questions all based around books. But one of the tags is called try a chapter tag. So a YouTuber will go and they'll read, say, like 3-4 books, and they'll read the first chapter, and then they'll see out of all those 4 books which one captures their attention the most. And I find this to get out of a reading slump is such a good idea, because you're forcing yourself to read a chapter of a book, yes, 4 books, but then you've got 4 brand new story ideas in your head, and you can kind of like think which one is going to make you excited the most, you know?
Yeah, grab you in and not let you go.
Yeah. So that I love to do. And then I think also, if you are in a reading slump, you should listen to Books and Booze Pod, because we speak about lots of books.
That's a very good idea.
Yes. My thoughts exactly.
We definitely have a lot of options.
Yeah, so what else do you think about reading slumps?
I think that you can't let yourself get too down when you get into one and find yourself getting too frustrated, because I think it adds to the problem.
Yes.
So I know if I'm going, oh, I don't like this book, I don't like this book, I don't like this book, I get really disheartened, and then I go off and I do something else, and then you need to have something that'll pull you back in.
Definitely, yeah.
So don't quit
What about
reading.
what about like Netflix? Dum dum dum.
Do you mean like, do I switch into watching TV?
Yeah, like I know for me, if I get home from work, I flick on the telly and I'll start watching some mindless junk like Love Island while I'm cooking and having a glass of wine, and I won't read or put an audiobook on, which is what I should be doing, and then I'll get sucked into a bloody TV show on Netflix or 9 Now or Stan or whatever I'm watching on, and then I just don't want to read, because then the next day I get home from work and I'm like, oh yeah, let me just flick on the TV again and carry on with this TV show, and it's the worst thing to get you into a reading slump.
I always make sure when I go to bed, before I go to sleep, I read.
Okay. I tried that, but me and my partner, you know, when he gets home and after we've cooked and stuff, we love to just relax on the sofa, and he ends up putting me to sleep with foot massages while we're watching a show. And then and then like, well, by the time I get into bed, I literally just like starfish down face first and like pass out.
Right, yeah.
But I did just buy myself this really cool, it's still in its box, I haven't opened it yet, but like I just bought myself a flexi book light with, so like if I can't sleep, like last night I was awake for a couple of hours in bed and I just couldn't sleep, and Mark was asleep next to me, I can just put on this little flexi book light and attach it to my book, and then I can read in bed and not wake him up with the big light.
Yeah, I need to invest in one of those as well, because I'm getting more and more physical copies of books.
Yes.
So with the e-reader, it's not a problem because it's backlit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely need to get a book light. Where'd you get yours from, Divi?
No, from Avid Reader, where I went last night and met Chris Hammer, the author of Scrublands.
Oh,
Yeah, so it looks pretty cool. Some batteries were included. It's pink, and it is it's $19.95, so like $20. There's 2 different levels of brightness, and it takes 3 AAA batteries. It's got like a flexible gooseneck, and it's great for travel. So, and it says on the box, "Don't disturb your loved ones at night."
Oh, that's
Yes,
nice.
so I'm looking forward to giving that a go, so that I don't have to feel guilty about putting the light on if I want to read at night instead of sleep because of my insomnia. What else? Yeah, I feel like...
Oh, I had a few corrections. Oh,
Yeah, no, you carry on.
I had a few corrections from last
Oh,
week.
yes?
Should we do that at the end?
If you want to.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got some listener questions. Should we go into them?
Yep.
Okay. Oh no, wait, sorry. We've got some listeners' advice. So I asked a couple of listeners like what their advice would be if they're in a reading slump. So a novelist said, pick up something from one of your favorite novelists. What do you think about that one?
That is a good idea. But usually if I find a new favorite, I devour everything they've ever written really quickly.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I kind of binge read authors.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I've already read all of like Gillian Flynn, all of Colleen Hoover, all of, the books that really just excite me. I've read them all. Claire McIntosh. Another one said, this is the fictional posts, said, read a genre you love, thrillers. So that's like what I was saying about the crazy page turners. So yeah, we kind of covered that one already. And then Books, Tea and Owls said watch reading vlogs, which I think would be more so on like the booktube side of things. And I think that you need to get back into the watching booktube stuff because it's so fun. And then we got like someone called Jade 1292. I love her name.
Good name, yeah.
She said read short stories or reread something you love. And this one is also from Georgie Reads. Both of them pretty much commented the same thing. So what do you think about that?
So that is similar to what I said, like the celebrity biographies and collections of essays and stuff like that. And they're good because you can kind of pick that up and then put it down and you know exactly where you are. So you can read it in short bursts.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah, me too. And like I don't really read a lot of short stories, do you?
I do and I don't. I used to read a lot, but I have actually just bought 2 new ones. So I have ordered David Sedaris's Calypso.
Okay.
Because he's really good and I've read a lot of his earlier work and then I listened to him on another podcast and I thought, oh yeah, I have to get that right away. And then I also ordered, I didn't realize that Tom Hanks had a book out.
Oh, isn't it called like The Uncommon Type? Yes. I've been wanting to get my hands on that.
Yeah, so I ordered a used copy from the website I actually shouted out on our Instagram page.
I loved used books.
Yeah, and it's all online, so you just put it in and they mail it to you free shipping. It's brilliant.
Oh, that's lovely.
So they are called World of Books.
Yeah, I saw that. You put that on our Instagram, Books Booze Pod, the other day.
Yeah, because I thought that was a really good idea. Give a book a second life, you know?
Yeah, I couldn't do that with my own books, though. I'm a book hoarder.
I am too.
We have another one called Dominique Jade. Again, love her name. She says just go for audiobooks if you're in a slump, and I so agree with this because an audiobook helps so much. If you don't have the actual time to read, audiobooks are always there.
Yeah. I actually got the audiobook of Into the Wild after you recommended it last week to listen to. Yeah. So I've got a couple of podcasts that I want to finish listening to, and then I'll start listening to that one.
Ah, that's so exciting. I'm so excited to see what you think. I wonder who it's narrated by because it's just such a phenomenal book, and I just hope, because like the book and the movie are both so good, I just hope that whoever narrated the audiobook has done it justice.
Does it justice, yeah.
Yeah. We got Essie Rose 95 that said go back to an old favourite, which is one of your pieces of advice as well if you're in a reading slump. So for you, what is one of your old favourites?
I like to go back and read the Harry Potter books.
Okay.
I haven't done it in a while because I haven't really been in a reading slump for a while. But I do tend to try and go back every couple of years and read the Harry Potter books again.
Okay. Yeah, I'm planning on doing that this Christmas. I've got all of them on audio. So I'm pretty excited. I'm going to start picking them up again, and I hope I can get through all of them around Christmas time.
Yeah. Jim Dale or Stephen Fry?
I have no idea. I'll have to double check.
I've listened to both.
Which one do you prefer?
You know what? I like them both.
Okay.
I can't pick a favorite. They're both really brilliant, really, really good audiobooks.
Okay, I've heard they're just like such an amazing experience on audio as well. Like obviously I read them as a kid, but it's going to be so exciting to actually dive into them in audio format. Okay, Read with Jamie said, spend hours on Bookstagram until something excites you. And that was one of my pieces of advice. So just like scroll obsessively.
I do that. I sit there at night and I just scroll through and look at all the beautiful covers and all the beautiful photos people take. Oh my God, there's some talented photo
I know, like they've got
takers.
such an eye, and I'm just like, how? Sometimes I wish I didn't have like such a limited theme to my Bookstagram, because some of these people just look like they make their pictures look so stunning, and then it just makes the book look even more inviting, and I'm just like,
yeah,
I need it.
It's one of the smartest things I think publishers did was get on board the Bookstagram bandwagon.
Yes,
because the photos really pull you in.
Definitely.
And the passion, like the Bookstagrammers have so much passion for it. They love it.
Yeah, and it's also just such an amazing community. Like, everyone's so welcoming and everyone wants to talk to each other.
Yeah, no, you find your people.
Yes, they are my people, definitely. We've got the Carly Bibliophile who says, read a book from a different genre, which is something that you would do.
Yeah.
What genre, if you're in a slump with a thriller book, what genre would you normally go for?
I tend to move, like, because I read a lot of crime and thrillers, so I will tend to move to more literary fiction or a classic or...
Mommy,
Yes?
who's that?
Hello.
That's Jade.
We've got Kiara's little boy on our podcast now.
Mommy,
Yes.
I'm scared.
You're scared?
Oh, I'm not that scary, I promise. I've got two beautiful nephews.
Mommy,
They're about your age.
Yes.
I'm hungry.
You're hungry?
Yeah.
Hold on, I need to get him a snack.
Okay, cool. Let's stop it for now then. Okay, and we're off again.
Yeah.
So, the Curlier Bibliophile said, read a book from a different genre, which is something that you said. So if you're busy reading thriller and you get into a slump reading thriller books, how would you, what genre would you try and pick up to get out of a reading slump?
I will move to more contemporary fiction or a classic, like The Outsiders or Catcher in the Rye or Little Women or something like that.
Okay. I actually also want to read Little Women at Christmas time.
Yeah, it is. It's really good book. I love it. And I love the movie versions too.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, they're quite good. I've watched a few of the different adaptations and I really like them.
Okay. Alrighty, and then we've got one last question from my end, which is, piece of advice from my end. Wow, the sunset's beautiful. Sorry, the sunset, I have to show you because you are here on my screen. Can you see outside?
Oh, yeah, that is beautiful.
It's all pink and gorgeous. Sorry, I know no one else can actually see that, but it's really pretty. Okay, so the next question, the next piece of advice is from Bell Talk Books. Get a new book that captures you from the first page. So that's kind of like the try a chapter tag, where you just carry on reading and reading until you
find something you like.
Find a book that really, yes. Yeah. So, do you have any questions from the listeners?
I do. So, I'm trying to think because I know you've got some jotted down and I've got some jotted down.
Yep.
So, there was one. It's actually from my sister. Ilaria Carita Durham. and she asked what your favorite book to movie adaptation was. And I know last week you said Into the Wild, and we just talked about it before. Did you have any others?
I do. I do have one more, and that is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I
I
I
have
love
never read it, and I've never seen it.
What? Oh my god! And you love classics.
I do.
So you gotta. So I'll tell you exactly which movie you should watch. It's the 2005 movie with Keira Knightley as Elizabeth Bennet and Matthew McFadyen as Mr. Darcy.
Yeah.
It is amazing. And so Pride and Prejudice, it's like a period piece, and I just felt like I was traveling in time. And I was transported to the English countryside, and Elizabeth Bennet is like the eldest daughter in quite a large family of daughters. She's got this mass amount of pressure on her shoulders to marry. She's very outspoken and quick-witted, and she meets this guy called Mr. Darcy who is really reserved. He's upper class, and quite frankly, he's a bit of a ponce, but yeah, I just found this whole book was just so stunning, and Jane Austen had such an astounding and brilliant sense of humor for a novelist of her time. And the movie is just so beautiful. Everything about that movie, I think I've watched it. It must be over 100 times by now. I literally used to watch it almost every night.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
One of those.
I was obsessed. Yeah, I used to do that. I can't do that anymore. I don't know why, but once upon a time. What about you?
So I didn't do a movie per se, but I actually picked Big Little Lies.
Oh yes, I loved that. Was also an HBO show, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the adaptation I picked, was the HBO adaptation, because I think we're seeing more of these like limited series adaptations of books, which I think really lends itself to books because it allows someone to put in everything that's in the books. Because your biggest qualm as a reader is when you watch a movie and they skip out huge important parts.
Yes,
But
definitely.
with like people doing limited series of shows, you get 8 hours of content where you can fit in every important detail.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, and it's such a good book as well.
It is. It's a fantastic book. My only issue with it is I kind of wish they had kept it in Australia rather than moving it to Monterey.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
Because
Yeah,
I think it really would have been great for Australia to be able to have a show of that caliber filmed here.
definitely. I wish they hadn't have changed it like that.
Monterey is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's beautiful and it's very similar to Australia in a lot of ways.
But it's not authentic to the book.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I've got a question from an open bookshelf who said, "Who's your favorite Australian author?" And for this one, I would have said Leanne Moriarty.
That's who I said.
Ah, yay! What's your favorite Leanne Moriarty book?
How funny, because we often don't answer similar. We are quite different in our book tastes.
Yeah, and we were so scared we'd be too similar. We differ so much.
We do. My favourite of hers, I love Big Little Lies. I love The Husband's Secret. But my favourite is probably What Alice Forgot. Have you read that one?
I haven't read that one. I think it's one of the only ones I haven't read.
So I actually randomly stumbled across a copy of that in one of the holiday houses we were staying at, and I picked it up and I read it so fast and I loved it. And she's another one of those that I loved her book so much, I went out and I got everything she's ever written, and I slowly allowed myself to read them because I didn't want to finish them. So I only have one left to read, which is 3 Wishes. And I'm waiting for the publication of 9 Perfect Strangers.
Okay, I've got 9 Perfect Strangers.
I'm very jealous.
I'm very excited about it. I haven't started it yet, but yeah, it's getting a lot of praise, so really looking forward to it. I think my favorite Leanne Moriarty book is the first one I ever read, and that's The Husband's Secret.
So good.
Something, yeah, it just spoke to my soul, and that twist at the end, everything was just like phenomenal with that book. And then I loved Big Little Lies too. The only one I have a huge problem with is Truly Madly Guilty.
Which one's that one?
So, like, the cover, I don't know, my cover that I had was from South Africa, so the cover had, it's like kind of, I don't know if it's like an hourglass or something, or like a snow globe, and it's all about like an event that happens and this girl, oh god, it's so difficult to say anything without spoiling
the neighbor,
it.
right? It's about the,
Yes, and then, yep.
I do remember that one. I have
And
read
I
that
just,
one.
yeah, I just felt like the whole book was going nowhere. I felt like it was a pointless story with no real big twist or message or anything like I found with the other books. And yeah, I just found it, because it was so thick, I just found it a massive big waste of my time. I mean, the audiobook is about 17 hours long.
Holy heck.
Yeah, well, the audiobook I listened to anyway, so yeah, it's the only one I wasn't a fan of Leanne's work so far. So I'm really hoping that Nine Perfect Strangers gets back on par with the other books I've read.
Did you want to hear a synopsis of what Alice forgot?
Yes, please. I would love to.
Okay. Alice Love is 29, crazy about her husband, and pregnant with her first child. So imagine Alice's surprise when she comes to on a gym floor and is whisked off to the hospital, where she discovers the honeymoon is truly over. She's getting divorced, she has 3 kids, she's actually 39. Alice must reconstruct the events of a lost decade to find out whether or not it's possible to reconstruct her life at the same time. She has to figure out why her sister...
The time is 5:35 p.m.
Oh, it's a good drinking time.
That was my Alexa.
What's an Alexa?
One of those like Google Home kind of things.
Oh.
And I don't know what triggered her to answer. Yeah. But I didn't ask what the time was. Anyway, she has to figure out why her sister hardly talks to her and how it is she's become one of those super skinny mums with really expensive clothes. Ultimately, Alice must discover whether forgetting is a blessing or a curse, and whether it is possible to start over.
Wow. Okay. I am actually looking forward to reading that. Was that one of her first books?
I think so.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the cover of the book, I remember quite vividly actually, the cover of the book at the Holiday House, it had a sticker and it said that like it was bought by Jennifer Aniston's production company to be made into a feature film. And I mean, oh God, that holiday was like 5-6 years ago.
Wow.
And I haven't heard anything about it since.
Yeah, it must have just fallen through.
Yeah.
But maybe we can give the book some publicity and get it back into the limelight.
Well, I was surprised that she hadn't jumped on the opportunity, seeing as Big Little Lies is such a success. And Nicole Kidman has brought the rights to Nine Perfect Strangers, and it's not even published yet.
Yeah, I'm amazed by that. That's what makes me just want to like literally just stop recording this and go and pick it up.
Yeah.
So we've got another question. It was from Books, Tea and Owls again. She said, what are your top 3 must-read thrillers of all time, not just recent ones? So what's one of yours? I think we'll do one of yours, one of mine, one of yours, one of mine. Got it like that?
Yep. Okay. So these aren't in any particular order. I kind of just went through my Goodreads and I went through my highest rated books, and then I just went for ones that really got me excited when I saw the title again and thinking, oh yeah, that was a brilliant book. So I picked 2 books that are the first in a series and one that's a standalone. So I'll do the standalone first, and I wrote the quick synopsises of all of them too, just so people know what they're about. So I picked The Weight of Silence by Heather Goodencuff. Have you read
haven't
anything
heard of
by
that.
her?
No.
She's really good. Like, it's not... it's really smart thrillers. So they're not particularly gory or anything like that, but they're really clever. And she's a brilliant writer. So the synopsis of this one is 7-year-old Callie Clark is a sweet, gentle dreamer who suffers from selective mutism brought on by a tragedy that pulled her deep into silence as a toddler. Petra Gregory is Callie's best friend, her soulmate, her voice. Neither Petra nor Callie has been heard from since their disappearance was discovered. Now these families are tied by the questions of what happened to their children, their answer trapped in the silence of unspoken family secrets.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, one of my friends recommended her books to me, and I love them. She's a brilliant writer.
Okay. Yeah, like I literally have not heard of that before, so I'll definitely add it to my endless Goodreads list. Okay, so my first pick, and I know this is a more recent book, and for that I am sorry, but it's The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. I just had to. I loved it, and to be dead honest, I was so hesitant to pick this book up because I thought that it would be a carbon copy of The Girl on the Train. And yeah, there are definite similarities, but I did feel like, so even though there was the unreliable narrator with a drinking problem and she sees something she's not supposed to see, that it was so different and it had so many unique elements to it that I absolutely loved. So this book is about a girl called Anna Fox, and she lives alone. She's a recluse in New York City, and she can't go outside because she's got agoraphobia, which means that she is scared of anything outside, or I can't give you the scientific definition of it right now, but I've had too much wine for that. Me and Anna would be good friends. But so she sees something, and basically, like, her neighbor, she thinks that her neighbors are in trouble, and she can't find a way to help them because she's limited, because she can't go across the road and help them. So when she does finally raise the alarm, everyone is basically accusing her of being mentally unstable, and the mental element, the mental health element in this book is something I found so fascinating. So there was the agoraphobia side of things. I hadn't heard of this mental health issue before, but I heard that A.J. Finn has done a really good job with portraying it accurately, and I just feel like it was just such an interesting book with different elements. And also because the author has personal experiences with mental health, he was incorrectly diagnosed with bipolar for over 15 years. So I feel like the book was very authentic.
Yeah, wow. I didn't realize about that about him, because I have read that one and I did really enjoy it. It was very Hitchcockian.
Yes, definitely, and a lot of it was very based on Hitchcockian.
Rear Window. Is that the movie? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I gave it 5 goblets of wine.
5 goblets of wine.
That's our new rating system.
Yeah, all of the ones that I pick were 5 goblets of wine.
Oh, good. As they should be.
Exactly. Well, they're the ones that stick with you. The ones that you think of later over and over again.
Yep.
So my next one was Silent Scream by Angela Marsons. Have you read that one?
Oh, you've picked some super interesting ones that I haven't heard of before. Go on, tell me about this one.
I did try and do that also, I will admit. I tried to pick ones that, because last podcast episode we obviously talked about Gone Girl and the really obvious thrillers that will get you started.
Yeah.
So these ones were ones that I picked that were a bit more obscure. The last one I think that I picked, she's a lot more common. And people talk about her all the time, but I try to give other people a chance. And they were ones that I have genuinely loved in the past. Silent Scream by Angela Marsons, and this is a series. The detective in it, her name is D.I. Kim Stone.
Okay.
So the synopsis for this one was, even the darkest secrets can't stay buried forever. 5 figures gather around a shallow grave. They all had taken turns to dig. An adult-sized hole would have taken longer. Years later, a headmistress is found brutally strangled, and the first of a spate of gruesome murders which shock the Black County begins. But when human remains are discovered at former children's home, disturbing secrets are also unearthed. So this one was really creepy. I listened to this one on audiobook when I was working nights, and I remember being in my car and being so afraid to go out.
That's awesome. Like when you feel like you've got to like get escorted to your car. I love it.
So it'd be
can't
fine.
remember who told me that.
I'd arrive at work and it would be 5 p.m. and it would still be daylight and it would be no issue. But when I'd leave work, it'd be, I think, about 11 o'clock. Midnight, and it would just be pitch black, and I'd be like, oh, should I listen to it? But I can't stop listening to it. It's so good.
Yeah. Like proper slasher movie material.
You know, when you're driving in the cheesy horror movie flicks and you look in the rear window and there's someone there.
Oh god.
I always do that in the car at night when I'm by myself. I'm like, what if I look up and there's someone's eyes staring back at me? Oh crap, oh crap.
Or you just see like a figure sitting in the back of your car.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh.
Yes. Okay. So my next pick is Good Me Bad Me by Ali Land.
Ooh, I
Have
haven't
you
heard
read
of that. No.
Oh, okay. So this book is phenomenal. Obviously, 5 goblets of wine from me. And I actually met Ali Land at a writer's book event in Cape Town a few years ago. She's absolutely wonderful, and she has actually agreed to come onto the podcast for a interview with us mid-September.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes. So her book is about this girl called Annie, and Annie is the daughter of a serial killer. Annie hands her mother over to the police, and then she becomes Millie, and she lives with a foster family until her mother's trial. But every family and every person has their secrets, and her foster family is no different. So Millie is faced with a hateful foster sister called Phoebe, who constantly torments her throughout the weeks leading up to her mother's trial. And Millie is able to, like, is she able to rise above it, or is there going to be some sort of dormant evil lying deep down within her? Will she retaliate, or will she let it go? It's fantastic, and I just have to say, I love the book. It's such a stunning cover. But the audiobook was so artfully done. I cannot recommend it enough. So this book is all about dark and damaged characters. It's a very compelling psychological phenomenon. It dives into taboo topics such as like sexual abuse and incest, but it's done in such an elegant way. And there's something happening in this story, and you're constantly intrigued, so you're never bored. And I just loved it so much. And the whole Annie Millie kind of character that merges as one it's so confusing. I found her so likable for the most part, but every now and again she'd hint at some kind of demon that's inside of her that's like kind of waking up very slowly. And like, this is her debut novel, and it's just so brilliant. I loved it so much, and I cannot gush about it enough.
Oh, that sounds really good. I've already jotted it down to add to my list. Because that's what we love in the thriller genre, isn't it? Dark and twisty characters.
Oh, honestly, so the audiobook is brilliant. Just make sure you've got like a good pair of headphones, because sometimes like Millie Annie will be talking to herself, but she'll like whisper. So you really need to like have good headphones to be able to hear everything she's thinking and saying to herself. But oh god, it still creeps me out to this day.
Yeah.
It's so good, and she's busy working on her new book at the moment, and I don't know anything about it, but I'm so excited, and she's coming onto our podcast. So
yay! Yes. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, so you got to read that book.
I will. I have added it to my list, and I will be picking up the audiobook ASAP.
I have no doubt you're going to love it.
Okay, and my last one. So you might know this one. In the Woods by Tana French.
I feel like I should know it. I've probably seen it on Bookstagram.
Yeah, everyone talks about it, and I saw it so many times that I was like, well, I have to pick it up. And so many of the reviewers I follow on Goodreads were rating it 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, which was the same as the Angela Marson series, that every single book in the series was rated 5 stars by certain people. And I was like, I have to read these books. So this one is set in Ireland, which I love. I love books set in Ireland. It makes me want to go there. I think
I've been to Ireland. It's amazing.
Yeah. It looks beautiful. So this one is as dusk approaches a small Dublin suburb in the summer of 1984, mothers begin to call their children home. But on this warm evening, 3 children do not return home from the dark and silent woods. When the police arrive, they find only one of the children gripping a tree trunk in terror, wearing blood-filled sneakers and unable to recall a single detail of the previous hours. 20 years later, the boy, Rob Ryan, is a detective on the Dublin murder squad and keeps his past a secret. But when a 12-year-old girl is found murdered in the same woods, he and Detective Cassie find themselves a case chillingly similar to the previous unsolved mystery.
Okay. Alright, Whoopsie.
Lego.
Ah, okay. Nothing expensive then. Look, Lego can be bloody expensive. Alright, well that book is definitely getting added to my TBR. We're giving each other great TBR piles here.
We're digging ourselves further and further into the pile of books that we need to read.
Yes. Alright. So my last pick is You by Caroline Kepnes. Have you read this one?
No.
What?
No.
You haven't read it?
No.
It's so good. Okay, so You by Caroline Kepnes is actually becoming a TV show with it stars Dan Humphrey from what's it called?
Oh, Gossip Girl. Yes.
Yes.
I have seen the preview on Netflix.
Oh god.
Is it Netflix?
I think so.
Oh, it looks brilliant. It's a book.
It's amazing. And it's got a sequel called Hidden Bodies.
Oh.
Which, like, a lot of people think that it's not as good. I loved it because... So let me tell you about You, and then I'll tell you about Hidden Bodies.
Yes, I'll finish doing my nerdy bookworm freakout.
Okay, so You is about this, like, stunning, quirky writer. She walks into a bookstore and she strikes up this flirtatious conversation with the guy behind the counter, Joe Goldberg, who is Dan Humphrey from, what's it called?
Gossip Girl.
Gossip Girl, that's it. Sorry, I'm not. Okay, so Joe is absolutely fascinated by this chick, like, right from the get-go. And she uses the name on her credit card to track her down online. Then we follow Joe along his obsession for a girl that is, like, so readily advertises her life online. So, like, in various forms of social media, like Twitter and Facebook and stuff. And, like, we're reminded of how careful we need to be with what we put out there to the world on the internet. So that Joe manages then to, like, kind of weasel his way into her life. And he creates this beautiful romance with, like it's the kind of romance that most girls dream about. But then when things get in the way of their perfect relationship, he will stop at nothing to make sure that those obstacles are taken care of, and it brings a brand new meaning to the saying, I'd kill for you.
Ooh. That sounds really creepy.
It's absolutely awesome. Like, and the whole book, it's demented, it's twisted, there's a child in the room, so I'm going to say it's effed up.
He can't hear.
Oh, good, he can't hear. It's
the
fucked
headphones
up.
on.
She's got headphones on. That's good. It's absolutely crazy. Like, the list to explain this book is endless, and I'm speechless. It's such a brilliant, brilliant book. And what I found so fascinating and unique about this book is that it's told from the viewpoint of the stalker. So you're in the mind of the psychopath, and he's speaking to you like he's watching you, which is why it's called You.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, so and Joe as a main character is just fascinating. Like he makes me angry, he makes me uncomfortable, but then he'll think or say something that's like so earth-shatteringly romantic that I almost want to be like, oh god, I need to find a guy like him, and then I'm like, no, Jade, he's a psychopath. Stop it. It's oh god, it's just such a brilliant book, and I can't wait for the TV show.
Oh, I will have to read it before it comes out.
Yes, I highly recommend it. So then, Hidden Bodies is the sequel, and you get more into who Joe Goldberg is.
Yep.
Yeah, so I like that because you get to know more of him.
Hold on, just 1 second, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Give me 10 minutes and then we'll order dinner, okay? You good? Yeah, you can have that. Hang on. You want to say hello? No?
Hello.
He was trying to show you his Hulk toys before.
Oh, really? I like the Hulk.
I don't think he can hear you. Do you want
I
to say
like the
hello?
Hulk.
No?
No.
I don't want to order dinner.
We have to order dinner. Mummy didn't cook. Naughty. Okay.
Oh, right. So then we've got someone asked us, would we be willing to interview authors? Who said that?
That was Amber Reads for Pleasure.
Okay.
And I did think that you should take the reins on answering this one because you have some exciting news.
Yes. So as kind of touched upon earlier, I went to a book event yesterday and I met Chris Hammer, the author of Scrublands, and he is going to be our first author coming onto the podcast, and he's going to get an exclusive interview with us. We also have Ali Land coming on for an interview, and hopefully there will be many, many more. So yes, we're very open to interviewing authors.
I also talked to another author who wants to come on as well, and his name is Chris Gill.
Okay.
He's an Aussie author as well. Well, he's a British gentleman, but he has written an Australian coming-of-age novel.
Wonderful.
Mm.
I think it's great that we've got some authors really investing their time in us.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great leap of faith for them to trust us as we have just started trying to pursue our passions for books.
Yes, but it's going well. We already have like business cards on the way, some wine glasses, some mugs, some shirts.
And we get the most beautiful feedback from people, and it makes us both so happy.
Yes, I love it. I'm very, very happy with it.
So Amber Reads for Pleasure also had a small add-on to her question, which was how did we come up with the idea to do a podcast on reading? So I just wanted to say that my reason for doing it was because from a young age I was a book lover. And I love sharing my book of reading with my love of reading with others. And I also really love podcasts. And I thought that the community that podcasts create is so beautiful. And it just adds on another layer that's already there in BookTube and Bookstagram and stuff like that. It allows people of like minds to get together and discuss and talk about books and gush about books and get excited about TV show adaptations about books.
Yes.
So it was just a no-brainer for me. And then when you posted on your Bookstagram, who would be willing to co-host a podcast with me? I was like, me. I want to do that. That's me. I want to do that.
I had quite a couple of people that said yes, that they would be keen. But you were the firstly, and then you... so I kept talking to other people and being like, oh yeah, so like blah, 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 like just kind of communicating with them. And no one was as passionate as you were. That's why I chose you. I was just like, well, and also you're in Sydney. And I think that would be wonderful that, we are in the same country. And it'll be amazing one day to do a live show. Someone asked us if we would ever consider doing a live show. And I definitely want to get up to Sydney and... She mentioned that we could even go into a bookstore and do like a live show in a bookstore or something.
I thought that was really good.
Very exciting.
Yeah. I know. I think you and I are both so excited about this, and we have so many ideas that we want to bring to our listeners, and we like we've mentioned, we've never met. We weren't friends before this. I had followed you on Bookstagram, but and we'd had minor back and forths, I think, about things, but nothing major. And since we had this idea, we've been talking every day, and we're both so excited by it.
Yeah, like we get selfies of each other doing like random shit, like foils in our hair. And...
Foils at 7:30 at night.
It's been great. Like I feel like we've just become such good mates, and I think that's great that we've never actually met in person, but we're going for this, and we both want it. So.
Yeah. And that's what loving books does to people. It just makes them find friends in the most random places.
Yes, definitely. So I think that brings us on to our boozy banter for the day, unless there's anything else you want to add.
I did have some corrections from last week, and one is a very important correction, and if I do not correct my big faux pas, I will be in big trouble.
Can I guess what it is?
Yes.
Is it Taylor Jenkins Reid?
No.
Oh, okay.
That is one of them, yes. So I'm going to blame it on nerves and excitement, but I would be remiss if I did not mention that Taylor Jenkins Reid obviously wrote The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which is a huge book, but the reason I didn't connect it in my mind, I think, is because it's so similar to what she has written before. And that's a brilliant book, and that is the first book I read. It wasn't After I Do. So I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and then went on to read everything else.
Is that a thriller, The Seven Husbands?
No.
Okay, because I really want to read it, but I feel like it's been marketed more as a thriller, and I'm scared that I'm going to be disappointed.
Now, there are two books that sound very similar. So there's The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and there's The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle.
Oh, yes. Why are they so bloody similar?
I have no idea, and I'm sure the authors are kind of kicking themselves a little bit. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, it reads like a celebrity memoir. So basically... Hello, Mark.
Hello. So he can't hear you, but Mark, she's waving at you.
Hello.
Hello.
Wait, she's waving. Yeah, my Instagram husband just walked in.
So yeah, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, it reads like a celebrity biography, and basically it goes through the life of this old-timey movie star, and she's dictating her life story to a magazine writer. And everything that unravels is just brilliantly told, and it's just a beautiful book, and it deals with brilliant subject matter. So it deals with the LGBT community, and it deals with families, and it deals with race, and it's a beautiful book, and I think everyone should pick it up. It's not a thriller. I don't even know what I would call it. I guess literary fiction, just general fiction.
Okay.
But it's told so beautifully. And I actually, through following Reese Witherspoon's Instagram, her book club, I know a lot of people thought the last pick would be this, because I think Taylor Jenkins Reid has written a new book that sounds very similar to Evelyn Hugo, that Reese Witherspoon has bought the movie rights for.
Ooh, I love how these actresses are just buying the movie rights for everything.
I know, they're really getting on board with it. It's brilliant because they're doing such a good job. Like, obviously, Reese Witherspoon, she's done Big Little Lies.
Yes, and she's such a a good actress as well.
She is.
She follows me on Instagram now.
I saw!
I'm so
I know, I saw, and I had like a little excited freak out for you too.
Now I just need to get her to follow the podcast.
Yeah.
But so Nicole Kidman as well, she's just brilliant.
Yeah. She is really good in Big Little Lies. The whole cast is amazing in that.
Yeah, Big Little Lies had an amazing cast.
My second correction, it was really a correction, but I couldn't remember the name of the Jacqueline Wilson book where the family lived in a hotel.
Yep.
And that's called The
Oh, was
Bed
it
and
Lola
Breakfast
Rose?
Star. No, The Bed and Breakfast Star.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever actually read that one.
That's a really good one. That's one of the ones that sticks out the most in my mind. And then my last correction is the most important correction. I did not call my husband by his name. I kept calling him my husband, and he didn't like that.
Mitchie.
His name, of course, is Mitchell. But I thought that if I said Mitchell, no one would understand what I was talking about.
I just call Mark or my hairy beast.
Hairy beast. Well, his name is Mitchell or Mitch.
He's growling in the background.
So that is my number one correction. My husband's name is Mitchell.
Okay.
He is a person and an entity on his own.
Oh, yes. So, I wanted to say something. Now I've gone completely blank. So I think, with regards to the boozy banter, what have you been reading and enjoying besides our Girls' Night Out by Liz Fenton and Lisa Steinke book?
Yeah, Steinke? I don't
Steinke?
know. We will have
Steinke?
to ask her how she pronounces her last name because they do follow our Instagram.
Yes, and they've been actually quite supportive of us,
Yeah.
those two authors, so...
So I might message them and ask them how they pronounce their surnames. So I wrote down the podcast I'm currently listening to, what I'm currently reading, and what I'm watching for. And then I also wrote books that I'm excited for
Okay.
because I just can't stop.
So
So
excited.
I'll start with podcasts because we're a podcast and I love to support other podcasts. The first one, it probably doesn't need more listeners, but it's Dax Shepard's podcast. But I specifically wanted to talk about the host that he had that was sorry, my sister's trying to FaceTime me. He had on so he interviews celebrities and authors.
Okay.
Do you know who Dax Shepard is?
No, I've never heard of it, but I'm gonna find him as soon as I finish this recording.
So it's called Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert, and he does a really good job at getting people just to talk about anything and everything. And it feels like you're sitting in the room with a couple of really cool people talking about anything and everything. And my husband's going to laugh. My husband, Mitchell, is going to laugh when I say this one because he thinks that I have the biggest crush on Dax Shepard, which I do. But I think he's really intelligent, and the way he interviews it reminds me of, David Letterman.
Yes.
He's very similar to that. But the episode in particular that I really liked was David Harbour. Do you know who that is?
No.
He's on Stranger Things. He plays Hopper on Stranger Things.
Mark likes Stranger Things. I haven't watched it yet.
Okay. Well, he plays the police man, detective. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was just really open and honest and vulnerable, and he talked about his addictions, and he talked about body image and how, like, being a male celebrity and having poor body image perceptions of himself, and the way he spoke, it just really spoke to me. I really enjoyed listening to him speak. I hadn't heard much of him before Stranger Things, but I really became a big fan of his after listening to this podcast. The second podcast I have been loving is the SSR pod.
Okay, I haven't heard that one either.
So she follows us as well, and I was chatting to her because I was doing some research into other book podcasts and seeing, what else is out there so we can recommend stuff. So she, what she talks about is very different to ours, but she goes through books that we would have read when we were younger. So she goes and she rereads her and a guest every week. They go and they reread classics from when we were younger, like The Babysitter's Club or Harriet the Spy, or I think she's done, it looks like she's going to do Ella Enchanted really soon, which I'm excited about because I loved that book when I was little. And they go and they talk about what they think about it now. being older women. So I think she's 27, and she looks at the books with a new point of view, and she talks about what she likes and what she didn't like, and it's really, really fun.
Okay, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to write all these podcasts down. I've got literally so many podcasts I listen to now. It's becoming an obsession.
We will link them all
Yes.
in our show notes and our Instagram episode posts. So that's what I'm listening to. Are you listening to any podcasts?
So I listen to heaps of podcasts, but one that I actually just finished with Mark. We drove to a place called Tin Can Bay in Australia over the weekend. Mark, wait. Mark, please can you pour me a glass of wine before you leave?
She asks so
Wait.
sweetly.
I've got a glass here. Thank you. The 19 Crimes. Thank you. He's going for a run, and I am drinking. It's a perfect relationship.
Couple goals.
So I, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so we were on this trip to Tin Can Bay, and he downloaded me something. I had heaps of other like true crime podcasts that I really wanted to get into, and I didn't realize that he downloaded this one, and it was free to download on Audible, I think, which is amazing. And it's called Real Crime, and it takes you on more like British crime. And so if you download this podcast, thank you, my love. Yum. Love you. Enjoy your run. So if you download this podcast, it gives you like 10 episodes. They're about like 25 to 30 minutes long. And it's quite refreshing because a lot of the crime podcasts I listen to are all like either Australian, like Case File, or American, like My Favorite Murder, or, you know, so having the British crime was quite refreshing. Mm-hmm. And some of them I actually even knew from my childhood, even, like crimes that happened back when I was a kid. And it was just so amazing to hear about it fresh from today and what really actually took place. Because when I was a kid, obviously I didn't really listen too much. So I was listening to Real Crime, which is absolutely amazing. And that's pretty much the only podcast that also there's a new podcast about thriller books called Books by the Death by the Books, which is by a Scottish girl called Leanne and also another Australian girl from Melbourne called Kirsty, I think. And I listened to their first episode today. They love thrillers as well as us. So, yeah, they've jumped onto the thriller book bandwagon.
Yay, we need more thriller podcasts.
Yeah, so I thought I'd give them a little bit of a shout out too.
Nice.
What else are you busy reading at the moment, or have you finished reading anything that you enjoyed?
I finished Girls' Night Out. I'm not going to talk about it. Saving it for next episode. But I have finished it. I am reading, so before that, I was reading Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchinson.
I want to read that.
That's really good. And I'm also reading The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware.
I have not found a Ruth Ware book that I've enjoyed.
I really liked In a Dark, Dark Wood.
I haven't read that one. I've read the other ones, The Woman in Cabin 10 and The Lying Game. And I honestly, I know this is bad, but I couldn't stand either of them.
I liked The Woman in Cabin 10. I DNF'd The Lying Game. Which
it was terrible.
I don't often do, but I just did not like any of the women in that book.
Yep, and it was so boring. I did complete it, but I struggled. I
actually got the audiobook and then I returned it through Audible because they let you do that, because I couldn't get into that one. The Death of Mrs. Westaway, I'm struggling to get into as well. I was
actually excited about this one, so
I
that's
don't like to go negative a lot. I don't like to say bad things very often, but I am struggling with this one. I was going to give it about maybe 50 more pages before I made a final decision of what I wanted to do on that one.
Yeah.
But I find myself, so at night I'll try and start with that one, and then I always find myself going back to Butterfly Garden, which is fantastic. It's really
Okay.
good.
Well, speaking about books that you, on a more negative note, I just finished Our House by Louise Candlish.
Yeah.
Have you read that?
I haven't. I saw that because the cover is gorgeous. It's beautiful,
It's
like
stunning,
Victorian
isn't
kind of
it?
looking house. And I almost picked it up at the bookstore, but something made me, well, actually the price tag made me put it back down on the shelf.
How horrible is the price of books these days? That's why I'm so glad I get sent them by publishers.
I tend to get mine from Book Depository. And they're not as expensive, but this one was in David Jones, so of course it's going to be ridiculously pricey. It was, I think, $32.99.
Yes, so I just finished reading it. It got sent to me by the publishers, and I do thank them very much for sending it to me. And Louise Candlish saw a picture of mine on my Instagram, and she was very excited about me reading it. And I wish that I could say more, but I've got to be honest with my reviews. If I'm not, then I'm, it's a lie. And while I think her writing was good, definitely good, I only gave this one 2 goblets of wine. Because so I'll tell you what it's about. It's about this girl, or this woman called Fee. She comes home one day and she finds strangers moving into her house, but her house was never for sale. And, there's randoms moving into her house, so it's very confusing for her, like WTF. And then it turns out that her husband had some sort of secrets. He made a really big mistake, and now they're all paying for it, and they both learn very quickly that there's worse things to lose in life than your house. And while I find that message is good, it's not enough to base an entire book off. I wouldn't even call this book a thriller. It's more of like a domestic drama, and it's just spinning constantly around a couple's marital issues and their guilt and secrets. And it was just, I was so underwhelmed by it because it was so slow paced, and it requires a lot of patience because it gets really repetitive.
Okay.
Yeah. And it just dragged. Yeah, there was a twist that was pretty exciting, but it wasn't really enough to drag it out of the mud for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so unfortunately, that's one that I just finished and didn't connect with. I finished I'll Be Gone in the Dark, which I spoke about in our previous episode, and I loved it. And I also started Miss Subways by David Duchovny on my road trip with Mark. And David Duchovny, I feel like we should do a petition where he should just narrate every audiobook in the world, because he's so sexy and he's just got a voice that just soothes me. And so David's narration of Miss Subways is amazing, but the book itself is just so strange. So it's quite dystopian-y. Like, I loved his other book, Holy Cow, but this one, it's kind of like a love story, but with a very big fantasy dystopian element. Like, this woman has this thing with this god, and the god basically gives her like this ultimatum where she has to forget her husband and never speak to him again in order for him to live, or she can not she has to then kill him. I don't know, it's like very strange. And so she makes the decision of forgetting him so that he lives because she loves him, but then fate brings them back together, and it's just so odd. And while that side of the book is actually quite interesting, like David Duchovny just goes on these like absolute tangents throughout the book, and it's very difficult to get into it.
My mum is a big David Duchovny fan. Big. She
get along.
She was obsessed with the X-Files, and I don't remember where we were living, but she put in our bathroom this poster on the back of the door, and it was just him covered in flies.
Mommy?
Oh, lovely.
Mommy?
It was the strangest thing.
Mommy?
You'd like close the bathroom door and be
Mommy?
brushing your teeth and
Mommy?
yeah, darling.
Can I have one?
Yeah, you can have a vitamin. Yeah, you'd be brushing your teeth and you'd just be looking over at 6 o'clock in the morning or something of David Duchovny's face covered in flies.
Well, that's not as attractive as I'd like to think. Yeah. I'm all for a poster of David Duchovny, but perhaps not covered in flies.
I wonder if I can find the picture and link it on my Instagram so people know what I'm talking about. My mom's probably going to be like, oh, you make me sound so weird.
Oh, dear. And then, so as for Netflix, I just started The Sinner, which stars Jessica Biel, which I've heard that you have watched.
I have.
I have only watched half of episode 1 because Mark got the absolute shits with me for starting it without him.
Yes.
It is absolutely bloody brilliant. So far, just from half an episode, it's like Jessica Biel plays this woman. She's having this wonderful day at the beach with her young son and her husband. And while they're relaxing on the beach, she goes for this really long swim and she comes back and you can kind of see there's something not quite right with her. She sits back down with her husband and this couple sitting across from them is playing some loud music and this song kind of triggers her and she just kind of leaps forward and takes this knife that she was chopping up like an orange or something or an apple for her son. She takes this knife and she just guts this guy in front of everyone. And it's everything about it is so brilliantly done. And Jessica Biel's acting is fantastic.
Phenomenal.
So, yeah. So I'm probably going to try and get Mark to jump on that with me straight away so I can continue watching it.
That was a book as well. I haven't read the book. Have you read the book? No. Yeah.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, I didn't know either until after. Because usually I try and read the book first and then watch something.
I am going to look for it right now.
But I'm not sure if it is a English book. So I think maybe it was in another language. But I'm sure by now it's been translated.
I've just had a look. The Sinner by Petra Hammersfar and John Brown. John is the translator.
Yep.
So it's a German book. And the premise says, on a sunny summer afternoon by the lake, Cora Bender stabs a man to death. Why? What would cause this quiet, kind young woman to stab a complete stranger in the throat over and over again in full view of her family and friends? For the local police, it's an open and shut case. Cora quickly confesses, and there's no shortage of witnesses, but those questions remain unanswered. Haunted by the case, the police commissioner refuses to close the case and begins his own maverick investigation. So begins the slow unraveling of Cora's past, a harrowing descent into a woman's private hell, a dark, spellbinding novel where the truth is to be questioned at every turn. The Sinner has been a bestseller around the world and is poised to be a summer smash with the coming TV adaptation, already hailed as one of the most anticipated shows of the summer.
Yeah. It's really good. Mitchell and I binge watched that one and we would find ourselves just wanting to watch more and more of it. And it's Bill Pullman that plays Harry, the detective, and he is amazing as well.
Oh. Okay, I'm so ready to carry on watching that now.
Nighttime now.
It's nighttime now. Good time for Mummy to have a glass of wine.
Mommy,
Yes, darling.
it's nighttime.
It is nighttime. Can you give me 2 more minutes and then I think we'll be done?
Yeah, we will be wrapping this up.
I am watching Orange is the New Black, the new season that's come out. And that is, I like it. A lot of people have been complaining lately about the later seasons, but I think this season's quite good. They've introduced some new characters, and we're pretty hooked. We keep wanting to watch episodes, so it's got us hooked.
Mommy.
And I'm also watching Younger, which I think I mentioned to you. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so wet.
It is so wet.
That's why it's
He's been pretty good to not lose his patience for the last hour and 18 minutes
Yeah.
of recording.
That's why
being a podcast host and a mother, this is, she's done very well.
This is a juggling
And
act.
He looks like an angel, and he got beat up in school today, and we're gonna motherfuck the shit out of the guy that beat him up. I hope he's 4 years old.
Here you go.
Maybe
You can have
don't tell the school that you have a podcast, just in case something happens to this kid and then we're blamed for it.
that. Maybe we should edit that part. The other show I am watching is on Stan, and it is called Younger.
Okay.
I mentioned it to you, I think. It is it's by the guy that did Sex and the City. But it is set in the publishing world, which I really like that aspect of it. And they always talk about books, and they're excited and passionate about books, and the characters are really good, and it's just a fun, quick show to watch.
Yeah.
So I watched that one with my sister.
What are you doing?
I'm opening it for you.
But I already got a lip.
Okay. Do you want to just hold that one?
No.
Okay, I'll put it here.
The new podcast star, Mr. Alex.
Yeah, so Younger. That's
Okay.
It's got Hilary Duff in it, and it's got Sutton Foster and Debbie Mazar.
I love Hilary Duff, so I definitely want to watch that. And I've got Stan, so I might even see if my partner wants to watch that tonight.
It's they're only like 22-minute episodes, so they go really fast, but it's fun and the characters are good, and they actually through the show they published a book that was pitched in the show. So they always talk about books that they're pitching and books that are being published in the fictional world of the show, and they actually published one of them.
Okay. Yeah, I just finished Scream, the two seasons of Scream on Netflix.
Yeah?
Bloody amazing.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I think it's time to maybe end this episode because we've got a little
He's lost
little
it.
tyrant on our hands.
He's lost his patience. He's ready for dinner. 6:30.
Yep. What are you gonna have?
We might just order pizza.
Yummy.
Nice,
Mark
easy,
and
and
I-
fast.
Mark and I went fishing, and we're gonna cook up some of the fish we caught over the weekend in Tin Can Bay.
I saw. You did pretty well.
He caught like 20 fish, and I caught 2. So
I think that's still good.
yeah. Fuck
There's
yes.
still 2 delicious fish.
I tried. Without me, there would have only been 19.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
that's not enough to eat.
No, they were like little whitings. So and I even filleted them myself.
I saw. You should post a picture of that into our Instagram stories.
Yes, Mark did the deboning if I left any of the bones in or kind of chopped in some of their spine.
Yep.
Sorry, this is getting pretty gory now, but
It is a
so-
thriller podcast after all.
yes, I hacked into their heads and their brain and sliced down their sides and got their little fillets off, and it was delicious. So we had some the other day that we did in like a self-raising flour batter and some vinegar, and
Yep.
they were lovely.
Yeah.
And tonight I think we're just gonna grill them.
Delicious.
Mmm.
That goes nice with
Anyway.
wine.
Yes. I think Mark wants to stop drinking so much because we've been on a bit of a bender lately. So yeah, it's probably good that we recorded this on a Tuesday so we can have a few days off before the weekend. All right. So I think that wraps up today's episode.
Yep.
Don't forget to follow us over on our Instagram page and Twitter under Books Booze Pod.
Yep. And we are hoping that by the time this episode comes out, we will be on iTunes. So make sure you rate, review, and subscribe.
Yes, we are already on Stitcher and Spotify, but iTunes is going to be coming shortly.
And thank you to everybody who has listened. It's really great, and it's really starting a great community of book lovers.
Yes, it means the absolute world to us. And if you wanted to support us at all any further, please think about maybe donating as little as $2 a month to us on Patreon. We will leave the link in the show notes where you could just help us make a living by working with books all day, every day. Our dream come true. That would mean so much to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I will talk to you soon, my co-host buddy.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.